Part 17. After Rebirth, Boss, she is beautiful and sassy. Author, Beautiful. Chapter 161. Chapter 161 Traveling by Car. The closest place to the sea from Lanchinge is Wuotong Island. It is named after a huge 1,000-year-old Wuotong tree on the island. Unlike the undeveloped Lizhu Island that Yunsu went to before, Wuotong Island is a very famous tourist attraction. And now that it is the peak tourist season, there are even more tourists. For the convenience of travel, several people chose to travel by car. Lian Yu specially bought a 7-seater SUV and was eager to drive all the way from Lanchinge, but was ruthlessly stopped by Yunsu. The remaining Yunsu and Qin Cheng were both very skilled, but unfortunately neither of them had driver's licenses. In the end, Qingyu, the only adult among them who had obtained a driver's license, drove the car. Qingyu was more nervous than them and held the steering wheel tightly all the way. "Don't panic, drive slowly, we are not in a hurry," Yunsu comforted her with a soft voice. "Look ahead, don't look at the rear-view mirror. If you are not overtaking or returning to the road, pay attention to the speed of the vehicle." A car whizzed past them, and their hearts were almost in their throats. Yao Shuij was on the verge of crying. She gripped the handle of the car roof so tightly that her toes were about to tighten. "If I had known, I might as well have taken a plane." Lian Yu glanced at Qingyu in the driver's seat lustfully. "I just said I'd drive. You don't even have a driver's license, how can you drive?" Yunsu glared at him. Lian Yu had volunteered to take care of all the travel and hotels, so they didn't care. But when they were about to leave, they found out that he hadn't booked a flight, so they got a car. "Okay, you can sleep over there and I'll sleep over here." That time she raced away from the mountain. She was on a mountain and was forced by the situation at that time. In most cases, she was still a good and law-abiding citizen. Others looked at her sideways. "Is there still a time when Sister Yun is racing?" Yunsu glared at him. "Can it be the same?" "Wow, it's a sea view room," Yao Shuij exclaimed in surprise as soon as he entered the room. As soon as the curtains in the room were opened, the sun, beach, coconut trees, and waves were all in sight. Yunsu was about to change clothes when she noticed something was wrong. She turned around and saw He Jitong standing there blankly, looking a little embarrassed. "That. If you have time you can. I've bought the tickets, everyone can just get on the boat next, they need to take a ship to the island." Yunsu finally realized what she was talking about and smiled. "It's okay, I forgot about it." This little girl still remembered it. The hotel on the island that Lian Yu booked had 4 rooms for 7 people, 2 men and 5 women. Qin Cheng and Lian Yu must have stayed in one room. Yao Shuij and Shen Jinzu both wanted to share a room with Yunsu. Although Qingyu didn't speaking, but also meaning. "Then can I play with you often?" Qingyu rolled her eyes ungracefully. "I think it's quite lively for you two to sleep together." "I'll sleep by myself. It's clean." "Where do you want to sleep?" Yunsu asked casually. "The room allocation has been finalized. We are already friends." He is really a child with a good heart. Qin Cheng couldn't bear it anymore. "Lian Yu, can you say a few words and don't disturb others while driving?" His hand holding the door handle turned red. Although it is a room for 2 people, the rooms are all suites, each with 2 large beds. "Haven't you driven it before? You drove it harder than us." "What?" Lian Yu looked back and saw that the ship was already untying the mooring rope. "Quickly get on the ship and set off towards Wuotong Island." Yes, brother Au, please stop talking and don't disturb Sister Xiao while she is driving." He Jintong pursed her lips and almost cried. She regretted coming with her. "Can she get out of the car?" "I also can." "Oh yeah," Yao Shuij cheered. "Okay. Of course, I chose this specially. Every room is like this," Lian Yu said proudly. "How about it? As the commander-in-chief, I arranged it well, didn't I?" He Jitong happily shouted, then can we be friends? She smiled and said deliberately, what's wrong? Weren't you so bold when you were at Lian's house? Why do you feel so restrained when you go out to play? He Jitong followed Yunsu into the room, pulling the suitcase. You are reincarnated as a starving ghost, Lian Yu said angrily. Everyone, put your things away, we will gather in the lobby downstairs in 10 minutes to arrange a seafood feast. Yunsu couldn't help but laugh. Commander-in-Chief, can you board the ship? It's almost too late. He Jiantong glanced at her, a little shy. I'm sorry. Then can you teach me to ride a horse? It's okay if you have the opportunity. I was originally the commander-in-chief and tour guide of this trip. He Jitong suddenly raised his head and looked at Yunsu with bright eyes. Susu is so good. Shenjinzu and Yao Shuij looked at each other and said in unison, then I want to sleep with Ching Ching. After driving noisily and shaky for several hours, they finally arrived at their destination. Several people breathed a sigh of relief and felt like they had come to life. I was talking about what happened before, I'm sorry. Speaking of which, she had never formally apologized to Yunsu. Yunsu looked at He Jiantong, who glanced left and right and then lowered his head, and said, I live in the same room as Xiaotong. She was the youngest and unfamiliar with other people, so he just took care of her. Yeah, not bad, not bad, Yao Shuij said perfunctorily. Commander, when are we going to eat? I'm starving to death. Yao Shuij burst into laughter. You really think of yourself as a tour guide, ha 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 ha. Lian Yu silently took out a small flag from his bag and waved it. Then you can. Shut up. 10 minutes later, the 7 people gathered downstairs and prepared to go to dinner. Lian Yu had already booked a restaurant. I read a lot of guides, and this one has the highest ratings and reputation. Lian Yu was very confident and ordered a dozen of this restaurant's signature dishes in one go. Okay, Yao Shuij quickly stopped him. Didn't you say you were hungry? But we can't eat too much. If we eat too much, how can we wear the swimsuits we brought? We can't have a round belly, right? She brought a beautiful swimsuit specially, so she couldn't be embarrassed to wear it out, right? Yes, Shenjinzu agreed. She had forgotten Yao Shuij even if he didn't mention it. Lian Yu was speechless. He really couldn't understand what these girls were thinking. They wanted to eat and they wanted to control. Yunsu drank tea with her hand. Do you want to bring a swimsuit? Not long after, steaming portions of seafood were served, making people salivate just by looking at them. Boiled prawns is the simplest cooking method. They are large and retain the freshness and sweetness of the shrimps to the greatest extent. Spicy fried flying crabs are spicy and delicious, and the meat is plump. Although the crabs in the season, crab paste and crab roe are not as good as in autumn. It's fat, but it doesn't have a special taste. The scallops are all plump and meaty, stir-fried with hot pot ingredients, and you can't stop eating. Each of the garlic oysters is as big as a man's fist. The aroma of garlic mixed with the sweetness of the oysters makes you extremely satisfied after one bite. Sure enough, if you want to eat seafood, you have to eat it at the beach. Lian Yu squinted his eyes with satisfaction. Yao Shuij and Shenjinzu were eating so hard that they couldn't even raise their heads. The thoughts of moderation they had just forgotten had already been forgotten. Qing Yu finished peeling a shrimp, dipped it in some mustard and soy sauce, and put it in Yunsu's bowl. Thanks. He Jitong looked at Yunsu's bowl, and then looked at the shrimp far away from her eagerly. Brother Au, peel a shrimp for me. You don't have hands yourself. I can't pinch him, He Jiantong said aggrievedly. Qin Cheng silently put the shrimp in his hand into He Jitong's bowl and said concisely, eat. Thank you, Brother Aiken, you are still kind to me, He Jiantong said in surprise. Qin Cheng. He just wanted her to shut up. We will go to the Yanhai beach in front of us in the afternoon. In the evening there will be a barbecue and bonfire party on the beach, And we can also go to see the lighthouse. Lian Yu said the next arrangements. Ken. After dinner, several girls went back to the room to change into swimsuits. Yunsu paused for a moment, but followed them back to the room. Susu, are you wearing this? After Yao Shuich changed, she saw Yunsu waiting for them when she went out. She stared at Yunsu's clothes with wide eyes. Yunsu looked at himself and asked, is there anything wrong? This is not an inappropriate question, where is your swimsuit? I didn't bring a swimsuit. Actually, I didn't. You came to the beach without a swimsuit, Yao Shuich said in an exaggerated tone, and Shen Jinzu, who had changed into a swimsuit, also came out. Shen Jinzu said, Susu, I have a new swimsuit. We are about the same figure. How about I give it to you? Yunsu looked at the hot 3-point swimsuits they were wearing, and felt helpless. Forget it, let's leave it like that. As soon as a few young and beautiful girls walked out, they immediately became a beautiful scenery on the beach, with a high rate of turning heads. Sister Yun, are you here? Lian Yu looked at Yunsu, who was dressed in a way that was incompatible with the others, and asked hesitantly. Do you have a problem? Yunsu glanced at him lightly. No, no. Lian Yu shook his head like a rattle. You are the most beautiful. Looking at the past, no one on this beach can compare with you. That's pretty much it? Lian Yu was not flattering. Although Yunsu was wearing simple clothes, a large white shirt was loosely buttoned, revealing her delicate collarbones. Her long legs under the denim shorts were so thin and straight that they were so white that they shone in the sun. You can see how eye-catching Yunsu's body is by looking at those vague eyes. Are you going into the water? Lian Yu looked towards the seaside, eager to try. No, you go first. Good. Lian Yu pulled Qin Cheng and rushed to the seaside. Let's go sit over there first. Yao Shuich pointed to the beach chair over there. The Yanhai beach was crowded with tourists. Although she wanted to play in the water, she didn't want to squeeze in with so many people, just like dumplings. Shen Jinzu and Qingyu looked at the crowded scene in front of them and nodded silently. On the white beach chairs, several girls were lying side by side, wearing sunglasses, with their long legs crossed, and no one passing by looked at them. Yao Shuich blew the sea breeze, took a sip of sweet coconut juice, and sighed with satisfaction, this is life. Shen Jinzu nodded in agreement. It was Qingyu's first time to come to the beach and everything was new, it's really nice. Her soft murmur reached Yunsu's ears. She glanced at her and said, how are you? You feel a lot more relaxed when you go out to play. She always felt that Qingyu Ben was too tight. Even though her life was getting better now, there seemed to be something in her heart that she still hadn't let go of. So asking her to come out to play was not only a problem with their parents as mentioned before, but more importantly, hope. It can make her really relax. Qingyu was a smart person and immediately understood the implication of Yunsu's words. Tears flashed in her eyes. Thank you, Susu. End of this chapter. After Rebirth, boss, she is beautiful and sassy. Author, beautiful. Chapter 162. Chapter 162, Rescue on the Beach. The afternoon sun shines warmly on people, and the salty sea breeze makes people drowsy. In the distance, Lian Yu and Qin Cheng are splashing vigorously in the sea. Yao Shuich watched with joy. Look over there, does Lian Yu's swimming style look like a dog paddle? Shen Jinzu. Don't say it, it's quite a bit. I thought he was so awesome. He laughed so hard that he stubbornly refused to wear a swimming ring. Qingyu also looked over, glanced to one side, fixed his gaze, and frowned, huh? Look over there. Is that child's swimming ring deflated? What? Where is it? Let me see. Several people were so frightened that they sat up immediately. Is it the one with the little yellow duck swimming circle? Right. Why is there no adult around him? Oh no, it seems to be drifting into the sea. Hold me in your arms. Madoka, not far away, a woman's heart-rending cry came. In just a minute or two, Yunsu and the child were already ashore. Stop crying, be good. Yunsu approached the boy, grabbed him with one hand, and tried to coax him with as gentle a voice as possible. On the shore, the little boy's mother also rushed over, holding an ice cream in her hand, and she was so anxious that she wanted to rush into the sea. Susu, be careful, Yao Shuij and others shouted loudly, anxious as they watched Yunsu swimming past. Xiao Yuan, the woman immediately rushed over, took the child, and burst into tears. The little boy was only 4 or 5 years old. He hugged Yunsu's waist tightly with his two little hands, his face was full of tears, his expression was frightened, and he was still sobbing. A few people ran towards the beach, their feet hurt from the small stones and shells, so they couldn't care less. It's Yunsu. At this time, the people at the beach finally realized that something was wrong. That's right, why did you go there so early? Let such a young child play alone in the sea. However, there was a white figure faster than them, rushing towards the sea like a gust of wind. Damn it, why didn't anyone notice it? Yunsu held him in one hand and swam towards the shore with the other hand. Yunsu finally rushed to the beach, walked a few steps quickly, waded into the sea water, plunged in with a sudden dive, stretched out his arms and legs, and swam quickly towards the little boy like a butterfly. Lian Yu and Qin Cheng heard the sound and ran over quickly. People on the shore blamed the careless mother. Many of them had children. If they had put their children in this situation, they would blame themselves to death. Don't go, my little girl has already rescued your child. It seems that the swimming ring is deflated, please save the child quickly. The wind was strong, and the little boy had drifted to a place about 10 meters away from the seaside. His body was light and he was choked by the water before he sank. He was so frightened that he cried loudly. Why did that child drift into the sea? The little boy couldn't hold it in anymore when he saw his mother, and burst into tears. Susu, are you okay? Yao Shuij and 3 other people gathered around and asked nervously. It's okay. Yunsu was soaked all over and shivered when the sea breeze blew. The wet shirt clung to her body. Although it was not see-through, the girl's beautiful curves were fully exposed, and many people glanced over. What are you looking at? Lian Yu shouted loudly. Qin Cheng handed the towel to Yunsu with a sullen face, and Yunsu took it and put it on her body. Thank you so much, little girl. The tears on the woman's face were not yet dry, and she kept bowing to thank Yunsu with a choked voice. No, it's easy, Yunsu said calmly, the child choked on some water. It's not a big problem. Don't be so careless in the future. Okay, I understand. I just went to buy him an ice cream. I thought he put on a swimming ring and only had a short time. Who knows? As the woman was about to cry again, she quickly controlled her emotions. Wiped his tears and said softly to the little boy, Xiao Yuan, Mommy will take you to see a doctor. The little boy stopped crying instantly. I don't want it, I want to be with the fairy sister. He had just suffered a fright and felt insecure. Only when he was around Yunsu did he feel at ease. Ha 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 ha, this kid's mouth is quite sweet, Lian Yu said with a smile. The onlookers also smiled kindly. Fortunately, nothing happened to such a cute child. Good boy, you go to the doctor with your mother first, and my sister will play with you later. Sister, you have to wait for me, I will be back soon. Xiao Yuan cried hard and asked Yunsu to agree. Okay, I'll wait for you here. Xiao Yuan had to watch his mother exchange contact information with Yunsu before he was willing to leave. Why do you look so like Princess Jining on TV? A girl pointed at Yunsu's face and exclaimed. She looked more and more like her. Yes, you are Princess Jining. Yunsu, who was called by name just now, could only admit, I am. Who is Princess Jining? Some onlookers asked in confusion. Oh, it's the fruit channel TV you often watch, and the little girl you say is very beautiful on it. Oh, it turns out it's her. She is indeed a kind-hearted person, she suddenly realized. Recently, with the popularity of the story of Tengen, Yunsu's popularity has become higher and higher, and now it has reached the point where he can be recognized by passers-by. Ah! Susu, I'm your fan, the girl screamed in surprise, and the boy beside her grinned at her pinch. Can you sign your autograph for me? It was inconvenient to see Yunsu like this, and the girl didn't ask for a photo. Okay, Yunsu was easy to talk about such a small request. Signed with the two characters of dragon flying and phoenix dancing. Can you sign Yu Qining for me again? I really like your character so much. The girl looked at her eagerly. Yunsu also satisfied her with good temper. Looking at the crowd still discussing, Yunsu and the others quietly slipped away. Susu, you scared me to death when you went into the sea just now. Shenjinzu patted his heart, still feeling frightened. It looks scary, but it's not that serious at all. Yunsu calmed down the emotions of several people. After this experience, everyone was no longer in the mood to play anymore, and were ready to go back to their rooms to take a rest, waiting for the barbecue and bonfire party in the evening. At night, the stars and moon hang high, and the sea breeze blows, blowing the sea water and lapping at the coast, rolling up layers of waves. There are many fewer people on the beach than during the day. People from all over the world gathered in a circle and sat on the fire. Next to it, there is a barbecue stall. Eat it while it's hot. Lian Yu grabbed a large handful of roasted meat that was full of charring aroma and dripping with oil, and shared it with everyone. The lamb kebabs are cooked just right, the skin is slightly charred, and the excess fat is dried out. The entrance is filled with the aroma of meat, cumin, and chili powder. It is numb and spicy, but the aftertaste is slightly milky and has a rich taste. A few people ate happily and were satisfied with the meal. These days, the gods don't change even when they come. Yao Shuij narrowed his eyes and burped. Do you want to be so exaggerated? Is this an exaggeration? I almost go crazy in school. Yao Shuij's grades were not as good as those of Yunsu and Shenjinzu, and he wanted to go to the capital with them to go to university, so he could only study hard. This time it was rare for him to put everything down and relax. Let's play some games, said the good guy. Okay, everyone agreed. How about truth or dare? Ken. It's corny but really interesting. Then take this bottle and put it wherever it goes. The person who first proposed took out a beer bottle. Okay. Let's play. The people here are all young men and women. Perhaps because of the excitement of the game, or the mystery of not knowing each other, everyone agreed to this game. Game start. The first person to speak began to turn the bottle mouth, and the green beer bottle spun quickly for a few times and then stopped. The first person pointed out was a young boy. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After Rebirth, boss, she is beautiful and sassy. Author, beautiful. Chapter 163. Chapter 163. The person you like. The people next to him were obviously his friends, and someone winked at him. He glanced at the girl next to him with his peripheral vision in embarrassment, and just in time to catch her gaze. He was so frightened that he quickly retracted his eyes. Truth or dare? Tell me the truth. The person asking the question loudly said, Ask, is there a girl you like here? If so, what would you say to her? Yao Shuij and Shenjinzu's eyes instantly brightened, with the aura of gossip. The boy's lips moved, and his hesitant look made the friends who asked him look anxious. That's what you said? The boy closed his eyes, his heart skipped a beat, and suddenly turned his head to face the girl. I like you. Lin Yuxin. Can you be my girlfriend? He took out a bouquet of flowers from his back like a magic trick. Oh! The scene instantly became heated, and the boy's friends all started shouting, "Promise him, promise him." "Okay, okay, stop talking, I promise you." The girl quickly took the flowers and covered his mouth. The bottle started spinning again. The person who was called walked to the middle of the circle with an expression on his face as if he was chasing a duck. Everyone even played music for him, so he had no choice but to move. Others who were watching suddenly realized that this was a long-planned game. The girl blushed under everyone's urging, "Do you have to say it at this time? There are so many people." Yunsu looked at the beer bottle pointed at him and felt a headache. Having said it all, the boy was no longer afraid. "I just want everyone to know that I like you. No matter, jump right away." "Okay, okay, these are just a few questions." Lian Yu waved his hand. "Everyone, keep playing." "Really?" The excited boy hugged her and hugged her tightly. "The game has just started and I saw such an exciting scene." The atmosphere instantly became exciting and everyone played more enthusiastically. The bottle turned and finally stopped in front of Lian Yu. "Who hates you? Don't be so sentimental." Lian Yu looked impatient. Before Jitong could be happy, he heard Lian Yu add, "I just think it's troublesome for you." "Damn, why am I so unlucky?" Lian Yu looked depressed. "Broadcast gymnastics. It's so good, the young people's love is as warm as the summer sun." The beach, illuminated by a full moon, was very lively, and everyone put down their baggage and restraints. "Okay, okay, come." Yao Shuij leaned over and whispered, "Ask more loudly." "Okay, I won't embarrass you, just dance for everyone." "Let me ask," Lian Yu hurriedly said before him. "Ha ha 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 ha, what is he dancing for?" Damn it, man, you're really good at turning. Let's have a big adventure." I'm coming," He Jitong quickly raised her hand. Lian Yu laughed wildly, "You must have been caught, things are changing." He Jiantong glanced at him, lowered his head, and asked in a low voice, "What I want to ask is, Brother Au, why do you always hate me so much?" "You know it, you've never liked me," He Jintong said aggrievedly. She had wanted to ask this question for a long time. "Brother Au, do you want to choose truth or dare?" "Truth or dare? Huh, my limbs are uncoordinated." "How can someone's limbs be so uncoordinated?" Ha 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 ha. When? The crowd of onlookers immediately burst into good-natured laughter. "So sweet," Yao Shuij covered her mouth and ate the bowl of dog food with tears in her eyes. "Speak the truth, daring is too stupid, he didn't choose it." He Jitong sat next to Yun Su, with a happy smile on his face. "It's great. Brother Au doesn't hate him." Okay, I'll let you." The voices in the audience were silent for an instant. Lian Yu was stunned, with a puzzled look on his face. "When did I hate you?" They all looked like they were watching the show. Yunsu always behaved more mature and steady than her peers. It was rare to see her in trouble. Who wouldn't look forward to it? Ask Yunsu didn't care. Lian Yu thought for 3 minutes and ran through many questions. Finally he said, "Sister Yun, do you have someone you like?" Yao Shuij. "Shenjinzu, what kind of question are you asking? Why don't we come?" Qingyu covered her mouth and smiled. How could Susu have someone she liked? Qin Chen was speechless. He held back his feelings for a long time and then asked this. The onlookers didn't understand what they were thinking, and their gossip souls were burning, waiting for Yunsu's answer. "The person I like." Yunsu's thoughts drifted away. "Maybe." In full view of everyone, Yunsu paused for a few seconds and replied calmly, "Yes." "Look, I just said Susu didn't have it." Yao Shuij had an expression that he had expected for a long time, and then suddenly reacted and his expression froze. "Wait. What did you just say?" Yunsu looked calm, as if she was not the one who just said that word. Ah. What, Susu, did you say something wrong? Shenjinzu looked in disbelief. Qingyu opened his mouth in an O shape. How is this possible? Holy crap. Sister Yun, it's true or not, is it true? Are you tricking us? Lian Yu was dumbfounded as he asked casually. Really? Qin Cheng's eyes slowly widened. He Jiantong looked confused. Why are everyone so excited? Yunsu spread his hands and said, it's up to you whether you believe it or not. Anyway, I answered it. No, tell me, who is it? Who is worthy of your love? Lian Yu still had an expression of disbelief. Yunsu smiled, this is the next question. In the following time, Lian Yu directly took over the job of the person spinning the bottle, and tried his best to transfer to Yunsu's place again, but he was unable to do so until the game was over and the crowd dispersed. Sister Yun, I beg you, just tell me, Lian Yu pulled Yunsu and begged, if you don't tell me, I won't be able to sleep tonight. Then don't sleep. Yunsu opened it for him ruthlessly. Yao Shuij leaned over, with the word Bagua almost written on his face. Susu, who is it? We also want to know. She held out 4 fingers with a serious expression. You can tell me secretly, I promise not to tell anyone else. Yunsu was still cold. Oh, I won't tell you. Shenjinzu felt itchy in his heart and wanted to look up to the sky and scream, who is it? Qingyu still had a confused and distracted expression on his face. Does Susu have someone she likes? Does Uncle Yun know? If you knew, would you break that boy's leg? Lian Yu on the other side was still guessing, who could it be? Li Yan? Wen Ziwan? Isn't he from our school? Chu Hai? It can't be him. Yunsu. You might as well tell the names of all the people you know. Is it Brother Cheng? Qin Cheng silently glanced at him. Did he dare to rob someone from his brother-in-law? It's not like I'm tired of living. Lian Yu suddenly stopped, with a horrified look on his face. It can't be me, right? It's you. Qin Cheng slapped him, and now he started to dream. Looking at Yunsu's retreating figure, he had a vague guess in his mind. The Qin family in Beijing. Qin Jiao looked at the messages received on his mobile phone and did not respond for a long time. Qin Jiao felt as if his brain was blocked. He knew all the words on the screen, but he just couldn't react. What did Qin Cheng mean? What does it mean that Susu has someone she likes? Who is it? After reacting, a chill ran through his body, and he exerted so much force on his hand that he almost crushed the phone. How could Susu like someone? His heart was beating wildly, and a feeling of panic filled the air. No one would believe that Qin Jiao would one day lose his mind because of such a simple sentence. He called Qin Cheng directly. Speak clearly to me word for word. Qin Cheng laughed silently on the other end of the phone, because he was so confused after just one sentence. His brother-in-law actually has this day too? After hanging up the phone, Qin Jiao stood there for a long time, his body stiff. The body is more honest than the mind. After a long time, he almost subconsciously entered Yunsu's chat box, relaxed his fingers, and sent a message. Little prince, are you asleep? Yunsu, who had just finished taking a shower and was wiping her hair, saw the news, paused and tapped her fingers. Little monster, no, what's wrong? Qin Jiao pursed his lips. What should he say? Should I ask her directly if she really has someone she likes? Or ask her who she likes? If she really answered, what would he do? At this moment, Qin Jiao realized that he couldn't bear Yunsu's answer at all. How should he tell her the increasingly delusional thoughts in his heart? Little prince, did you have fun today? Yunsu unplugged the hairdryer and said to He Jintung, go take a shower. Well, actually I also want to ask, she was also very curious. SHH, This is a secret. Yunsu raised his to his lips and winked at her. All right. He Jiantong took her pajamas and went to take a shower. Yunsu put on lotion and finally went to bed before replying to Qin Jiao's message. Little monster, it's not bad. It's nice to come out and play occasionally. Qin Jiao's hand stopped in the input field, typing and deleting, deleting and typing, and finally asked insinuatingly. Little prince, I heard that you witnessed someone else's confession at night. It is said that. Yunsu narrowed his eyes. Someone was informing him. Who was it? Lian Yu or Qin Cheng? She suddenly understood Qin Jiao's intention of looking for her. Yunsu smiled, with a smile on his eyes and brows. Did the dignified fifth master Qin ever do such a roundabout way of testing? Little monster, yes, the little couple is quite sweet. What does it mean when Qin Jiao grits his teeth? It's quite sweet. Is Susu yearning for it too? Little prince, I tell you, you are still in high school, you can't study. Qin Jiao pressed his eyebrows. What on earth was he talking about? Susu doesn't think she's preaching to her like her father, right? Yunsu over there had already laughed so much that she fell on the bed, so happy that she could imagine Qin Jiao typing these words with a serious face. After laughing enough, she deliberately sent a message. Little monster, don't worry, although I have someone I like, I have no idea of falling in love yet. Bang, Qin Jiao outside the door heard a loud noise and asked hurriedly, Fifth master, what's wrong? It took a long time before he heard Qin Jiao's reply, which was shockingly calm, it's okay, there's no need to come in. Okay, fifth master. Qin Jiao looked at the cup that he had smashed on the ground, his face as heavy as water. It doesn't matter, the little girl has no idea of falling in love yet. Even if she did, he would put her down at all costs. Little prince, do you have someone you like? Who is it? Tell me and I will help you refer to it. Yunsu couldn't control the corners of his mouth that turned up, why would he still put it here to test? Little monster, the person I like is a flower grower. End of this chapter. After Rebirth, boss, she is beautiful and sassy. Author, beautiful. Chapter 164. Chapter 164 The Flower Planter. That rainy day, the moment Qin Jiao walked towards her, the words he said to her gave her a new life. The little prince planted the only rose on his planet. She was not a rose, but he was a flower. People. When Lian Yu asked the question jokingly, she didn't want to answer, but maybe it was because the moonlight tonight was so beautiful, or the sea breeze was intoxicating. In that case, her relaxed heart was undefended, so she couldn't help but give it a definite answer. She herself was surprised, but then she was relieved. It turned out that she already had the answer. The person who grows flowers. What kind of flower grower? Qin Jiao was a little confused. After saying this, Yunsu said good night to him, leaving him tossing and turning all night, without even figuring out who she was talking about. Early on the next morning, Qin Jiao, with dark circles under his eyes, came to Qin Ju quickly. Fifth master, what are you doing? Qin Ju wondered, hadn't fifth master not had insomnia for a long time? Go and check one thing for me right away. Has Susu ever come into contact with a flower grower? Qin Jiao gritted his teeth, I want to see who it is. Plant, flowers, Qin Ju didn't understand. Just go check it out. Yes, fifth master. Several people stood under the tree and looked up. The trunk was thick and the branches were luxuriant, almost covering the sky and the sun. There were countless yellow ribbons tied on the tree, which were blowing in the breeze. After breakfast, the group of people prepared to go to the iconic sycamore tree in the middle of the island. Everyone has come, and no one can help but compromise with these 4 words. There happened to be a yellow ribbon seller nearby, and it was not expensive. Everyone paid for one. Chinju left with a lot of questions. Yunsu got up after a good night's sleep listening to the sound of the waves. She stood by the window and stretched. After washing, she went out for a run. Yunsu, what are you doing? Why do everyone have dark circles under their eyes? Lian Yu said in a resentful tone. You still said, it's not because of you. He thought about it all night and couldn't figure out who the person could make Sister Yun like. Qin Cheng stood next to him and hesitated several times. Is this idiot really unable to turn his head around? This sycamore tree also has a very beautiful name, Kaiwu. This sycamore tree is not a native tree on the island, but was transplanted hundreds of years ago. Qin Cheng wrote a sentence in a few strokes, and the other girls quickly finished it. Yunsu thought for a long time before writing. It's better to believe that it exists than to believe that it doesn't exist. Lian Yu shrugged and said slowly, everyone is here. A few people were speechless. Selling and hanging ribbons. Is this a business chain? They still refused, not because they were reluctant to part with the money, but because they thought it would be more effective to hang it up themselves, right? Letting others do it for you always lacks sincerity. Gone. I will know it later. Lian Yu repeated the sentence, his eyes widened. Isn't it really someone I know? Now that I've finished writing, how do I hang it up? Everyone looked at this huge sycamore tree and felt troubled. Several people looked at the neck of the tree and felt sad. If the higher you hang it, the more effective it will be. Then how do you get to the top? I'll go hang up, Yunsu said. Little girl, we have someone who can help you hang it up, and we'll charge you a hard fee. The man who just sold the yellow ribbon shouted. Qin Cheng. How can you be so stupid? It is said that if you write your wish on a yellow ribbon and tie it to a tree, your wish will come true, and the higher you tie it, the more effective it will be. Everyone was dubious. Is it such a god? Okay, don't think about it, you will know it later anyway. Yunsu Dali picked up his head and said, let's go have breakfast. What should I write about? Lian Yu scratched his head. He seemed to have no special wish to come true. Yes, just write this. Wuotong Island is not big. Yunsu ran back and forth and stopped after about 5 or 6 kilometers. Lian Yu and the others had just gotten up. I think it's okay. Lian Yu was the first to agree. He still believed in Sister Yun's skills. Then let's hang up. Be careful. Several other people also agreed that although Yunsu was helping out, they still felt that with Susu's talent of chasing after God and feeding him, it might be better than doing it themselves. Qin Cheng, how about I come with you? Yunsu, no need. Everyone handed the ribbons in their hands to Yunsu. She was wearing looser sweatpants today and jumped up to the tree in a few seconds. The branches and leaves are thick, and Yunsu reached the top one without much effort. The number of yellow ribbons at the top is visible to the naked eye. Yunsu tied everyone's ribbons one by one and tied them into knots to ensure that they would not be blown off by the wind. The tied yellow ribbon fluttered in the wind. Yunsu moved dexterously and quickly returned to the ground. What are you writing about? Shenjinzu asked curiously. How can you say this? It won't work if you say it. Oh, just tell me. Lian Yu, what did you write? I won't tell you. Yunsu walked at the end, watching their playful figures with a smile. She was the only one who knew what was written on everyone's yellow ribbons. Yao Shuij, you must be admitted to a university in the capital. Shenjinzu, Hua Qing, wait for me. Qing Yu, I must make a lot of money. Heji Untong, so happy. I want to be friends with everyone forever. Qin Cheng, protect the Qin family. Lian Yu, I hope my aunt will give birth to a younger sister. Yunsu was silent. Why did his painting style change when he came to Lian Yu? However, his wish may not be realized. She turned back and forgot to glance at the sycamore tree. The ribbon at the top was swaying lightly, as if to greet her. What is written on that ribbon is, mountains do not meet, but people do. The Buddha said that there are 7 sufferings in the human world: birth, old age, illness, death, resentment, separation, and failure to seek. Birth, old age, illness, and death are the cycles of human life. Yunsu has experienced it twice. Resentment means hating everyone under the same roof. She has also been far away, hating the separation. God has shown mercy and allowed her to survive through hundreds of millions of stars and endless journeys. Years later, we can still meet the people we missed, so what else can we ask for? In this life, she has no more false aspirations. At night, a few people went to the lighthouse on Wuitong Island. It is the tallest building on the island. It still stands in the sea like a bright light, regardless of the full moon, rough waves, rain, or wind. Change. Several little girls were stunned by the scenery and clamored to take pictures. Lian Yu held up his selfie stick and set up a time-lapse shooting. Everyone, get ready, 5 seconds, 5, 4, 3, 2. The young faces of the boys and girls were fixed at this point. From then on, even if the mountains and rivers are high and the rivers are long, and they go their separate ways, they will never forget the smiling faces of the people around them tonight and the gentle moonlight there. Yunsu thought of a poem inexplicably: I turn off the moon, and you become even brighter. She posted this sentence on Weibo casually. Yunsu has never been a person who likes to post on Weibo, but she has a lot of fans on Weibo. As soon as she posted the post, rows of comments immediately flooded the bottom. Are you even brighter? Who are you? Blind student, you discovered Huadian. Holy shit. Holy shit. My sister doesn't know how to fall in love, right? No. Is the person upstairs crazy? How old is your sister? I will put my words here today: I do not agree with any marriage of my sister is so beautiful. Anyone who wants to support this juicy cabbage has to ask us fans if we agree. You are overthinking it, my sister might just be posting casually. I don't care about this, I just want to ask, can there be more updates to the Chronicles of Tengen? I have waited until the end of time. Me too, the loneliest person in the world, the person who watched the first 4 episodes of the Chronicles of Tengen. Here is at fruit, I can spend money, can you let me watch it in advance, my child really can't wait. I can do it too. Is there anything that distinguished VIPs cannot see? Qin Xiao, who had set all Yunsu's accounts as special attention, of course also received Yunsu's blog reminder. He frowned and broke apart the sentence and carefully analyzed it word by word. Seeing some comments about whether Yunsu was in love, his face quickly turned as black as Chen Mo. How could this be possible? Report immediately and spread false rumors. Who are you referring to? Isn't it the one who grows flowers? Just planting flowers and dealing with soil every day, what's so bright about it? At this moment, he had already thought a lot, and Qinjiao couldn't control the sourness in his heart. He called Qinju, have you found the flower grower? No, Fifth Master. Qinju lowered his head, a little ashamed, we checked everything and found no flower grower around Miss Yun. Miss Yun didn't even buy flowers. If you don't find it, check again. Just because she didn't buy it doesn't mean no one gave it to her. Send. Qinju looked at his family's 5th master, hesitating and choosing his words carefully. It seems that you are the only one who has given flowers to Miss Yun. Only him? Qinjiao was stunned for a moment, an idea flashed through his mind, but he didn't catch it. He frowned and waved his hand, go and check again, and report to me if you have any contact with Hua. Yes. Qinju retreated. Qinjiao murmured, isn't this the literal meaning? On Wuitong Island, a few people were having a blast. All the messy things in school, work, and family were thrown aside, and they didn't think about anything. After staying for 2 or 3 days, several people were about to go back home. The work in Yunsu was piling up, and Qingyu didn't worry about her mother. Those who should study should continue to study. The unfinished excitement of several people completely disappeared the moment Qing Yu sat in the driver's seat and held the steering wheel. How could they forget this? Lian Yu swallowed. How about we book a flight? I'll find someone to drive the car back. Yao Shuij is about to cry but has no tears. He looks back at Wutong Island getting further and further away. What should he learn? Which university to take? She could live on the island her whole life. I told you not to disturb the driver while he was driving. Yunsu glared at several people, especially Lian Yu. Qin Cheng, who was sitting in the back row, was looking at his phone in a daze. His uncle asked him if he knew what it meant to have a flower grower next to Susu. Where did you come from to grow flowers? End of this chapter. After rebirth, boss, she is beautiful and sassy. Author, beautiful. Chapter 165. Chapter 165 Qi Ning is offline. The story of Tangan has been broadcast for 4 episodes, and the video broadcast platform has been played more than 80 million times. Various discussions about the plot characters are also in full swing on Weibo, and it has received a lot of praise. The role of Princess Jining is very brilliant, and Yunsu's performance fits the image of this character in many people's minds. Even though she has declared that she will not act again, various film appointments are still coming to her like snowflakes. Many people who couldn't find Yunsu had no choice but to look for Gu Liangziu, which made him unbearable. Today is another update day for the Chronicles of Tangan. Fans of the drama have already moved their benches and prepared them. Duck neck, chicken wings, soda, Guyu counted them next to each other. Okay, the food is ready, the computers are ready, the personnel are ready. Her roommate chewed on the duck neck and said vaguely, "Where did you perform last time?" There has been no update for several days, and she has almost forgotten the previous plot. What's your memory? Why don't you act until the emperor dies? Oh. At 8 o'clock in the evening, Tangan Ji will be updated on time. He is handsome, but what's the use? Chu Ziu has already entered the city. What is he going to do? Guyu almost screamed like a woodchuck. Wait a minute, why do I feel that something is wrong with this plot? Guyu paused and stopped nibbling on the chicken wings. She had an ominous premonition. Why is she keeping Yu Tanjun locked up? At the edge of the city tower, Yu Qining drew her sword and killed herself, sacrificing herself for her country. The bright red blood dyed her white clothes red. Oh my god, Princess Qining died like this. Did she get a box lunch now? As soon as the scene changed, Chu Ziu also realized something was wrong and tore off the mask on Yu Tanjun's face. They both said in unison, "Right? Isn't it?" On the city wall, Yu Qining, dressed in white, beat the drum vigorously, attracting the attention of the Chu army. Chu Ziu shouted loudly to the city tower. "No, have you seen it?" The roommate also went crazy. Why did Yu Qining raise his sword? Guyu and his roommate yelled heartbreakingly, "No! Twagu! Twagu! Isn't this Yu Tanjun? Stop arguing, let's start the fight, damn it, that arrow just shot was so cool, it shot right into my heart." The roommate had already fallen. "I am so grateful that I would rather die standing than live on my knees. I will not bury Daxia, I want Daxia to bury me." "Neither have I, oops, just keep watching and you'll find out," her roommate urged her to press start. Okay, the two of them continued to look at each other. Holy shit, why did Yu Qining give that box to Li Qingyun? Why does this feel like? Haven't you read the original work? Several generals followed and died for Daxia. I'm crazy, what is Yu Tanjun doing there? Why doesn't he stop it? Outside the palace, in the military camp stationed, Yu Qining had a serious look on his face and ordered in a serious tone, "Be sure to keep an eye on His Highness, and don't make any mistakes." What's going on with this Chu Ziu? How shameless is he? He wants Qining to be his concubine? He's dreaming. Guyu became more and more angry as he watched. What the is this? Trying the tiger away from the mountain, making an attack in the east and attacking in the west, changing the civet cat to the prince. Guyu and his roommate hugged each other and cried. Isn't this too cruel? Yu Qining exchanged his own death for Yu Tanjun's safety. On Weibo, Yu Qining has gone crazy since she went offline. The Weibo of the story of Tangan has been taken over, and it is flooded with comments accusing why Yu Qining was offline so quickly. This is only the 4th episode. Princess Qining is offline? What a departure. Let me tell you, from the original novel, Yu Qining's role is indeed very small. I don't care, I've been stabbed so hard that I can't breathe. The screenwriter has no heart. Lump House Toy cry so hard that the earth collapses and the mountains destroy the strong men and they die, which can be heard for hundreds of miles around. If Yu Tanjun could grow up and become more sensible, he would not let Yu Qining sacrifice his life for his survival. It would be too cruel. But this drama is about the growth of the character Yu Tanjun. Only after the destruction of his country and his family can he truly grow. Then why should we pay the price with our princess's life? She is obviously the one who is rated as capable of governing the country. Is it just because she is a girl? In this way, it's like watching my sister play Emperor Wu, killing everyone. In addition to the official Weibo, the Weibo accounts of Gu Liangziu and screenwriter Lu Yunqi were also flushed. Countless people begged Gu Liangziu to add more scenes to Yu Qining and let the screenwriter revise the script, otherwise they would send them razor blades. Gu Liangziu was speechless. This character was destined to die. How could he change it? The hot search on Weibo has already exploded, and several entries have been posted. Feeling sorry for Yu Qining. Princess Qining died for her country. Yu Tanjun is so useless. The eldest princess who received a lunchbox in the 5th episode. On Yunsu's Weibo, a large number of fans who were deeply involved in the drama posted messages of sympathy and hugs for their sister. Yunsu was reminded by Gu Liangziu to read Weibo. Yao Shuij, who was addicted to watching dramas, even called Yunshug and cried so hard to confirm her life and death. Yunsu. You don't have to be so into the drama, right? She pressed her eyebrows, and sure enough, it was a very wise decision to never act again. Before school started, Yunsu took time to go back to Xiaoshui town with his father and Yunting. Firstly, Yunting and Yun Daijin, who had not been back for a long time, missed it very much. Secondly, Yung Xiao, the uncle's daughter, was there. Yu was admitted to a fairly good university. Uncle Yun and Aunt Yun felt that Yun Xiao's admission was due to Yun Su, so they must go back to attend the college entrance banquet. Yun Daijin now made some money from the 2 stores and bought large and small bags to take back. When they arrived in Xiaoshui town, Yun Daijin specifically asked Yun Su to carry them, otherwise her uncle would accuse them of spending money and bringing things back. Sure enough, when Yun Daguo looked at Yun Su carrying something, his face turned into a smile. Uncle, these are the teas I bought for you, these are skincare products for Auntie, and a gift for Sister Xiao. Look at your child, you are very thoughtful, but don't bring anything else next time, otherwise Uncle will be angry. Yun Daguo feigned anger and glared at Yun Daijin. Don't think that he didn't know that it was deliberately carried by Susu. I know, Uncle. Yunsu held his hand and asked, Auntie, what are you cooking at home? Yun Daguo said cheerfully, it's all what you like to eat. Then I'm in a good mood today. Open up and eat, Uncle, that's enough. Yun Daguo waved his hand proudly. Thank you, Uncle. When we arrived at Yunda country, Cao Liun was frying crispy pork. The golden-colored little crispy pork was tumbling and squeaking in the oil pan. A slender hand reached over, secretly preparing to touch the plate. Yun Xiao, you're stealing words again, Cao Liun roared angrily, reaching out to slap her away. Yunsu quickly removed his hand and said, Auntie, it's me. Cao Liun turned around and her face changed instantly, it's Susu, I thought it was the troublemaker. Yoon Daguo and Yoon Daejin also sat down and chatted in the living room, and Yoonting called her aunt sweetly. Xiaoting is so good. You have been in the car for so long. Are you hungry? Come on, Susu, take this plate of fried crispy pork out and eat it with Xiaoting. If it's not enough, Auntie will fry it for you. Yoon Xiao, who witnessed the whole process, almost rolled her eyes to the sky. Wasn't her mother treating her too differently? Mom, I want to eat too. You're eating shit, look at how much weight you've gained recently, and you're still eating, Cao Liun attacked her mercilessly. Since graduation, Yoon Xiao has become more relaxed. She eats and sleeps all day long, and unknowingly gains several pounds. Ah, Yoon Xiao screamed, got off the electronic scale, and saw the numbers on it in disbelief. How is that possible? She took off her slippers, bracelets, and everything she could without giving up, but the number on the scale did not change at all. Cao Liun sneered, you eat and sleep. If you sleep and eat, it's weird if you don't get fat. Yunsu couldn't help but laugh. Auntie and sister Xiao were really a happy mother and daughter. What should I do? What should I do? Yoon Xiao ran around the living room with her head in her hands, as anxious as an ant on a hot pot. I still want to go see brother Hofan to play. How can I go there like this? Cao Liun stopped what she was doing and wondered, why are you looking for Hofan? I have to go to work, so where can I find the time to play with you? Oh, don't worry about it, I've already agreed with brother Hofan. Besides, I'm going to Lanjing to go to college, so I just went to check out the school in advance. Yunsu smiled mysteriously when he heard Yoon Hofan's name. Cao Liun frowned, brother Hofan, you are in a big company and you are busy at work. Don't disturb others. Yunsu, that's not that big. I know, you don't need to tell me. Yoon Daejin heard this and said hurriedly, then let Xiao go back to Lanjing with us and play for a few more days. That's not possible, she is just a troublemaker, and you don't have time to take care of her. Yoon Xiao was furious, Mom. You said bad things about me again. What did I say wrong? I won't tell you, Yoon Xiao paced back and forth, no, I must lose weight first. Lose weight? Eat this meal first. Cao Liun brought a large basin of boiled fish. Yunsu knew that she loved fish, so she went there early in the morning to buy fresh fish caught by others. The fish caught in the river has a sweet taste without any fishy smell. The boiled fish is fresh and tender in the mouth, numb, spicy and fragrant. It makes people sweat profusely but can't stop eating it with chopsticks. Yoon Xiao, why are you just eating? Cao Liun felt tired looking at her daughter who was immersed in eating. She was just talking about losing weight, but now she forgot about it? What? Meeting her mother's gaze, Yoon Xiao reacted, hurriedly wiped her lips, raised her drink to Yoon Su, and said in a rare serious tone, Susu, thank you so much. If it weren't for you, sort out the key points and difficulties for me. I may not be able to get into this university. Therefore, the military medal is half of yours and half of mine. I respect you. Yunsu also picked up the cup, I didn't do anything, it was all your own efforts. Congratulations, Sister Xiao. That's true, isn't it? Yoon Xiao burst into tears. She lost a layer of skin in order to get into this university, although now she has gained 2 more layers. Cao Liun, who do you think can understand this child? Obviously her grades can be applied to another school with better results, but she insists on applying to Lanjing, saying it is closer to us. Yoon Xiao glanced wildly, that's what it is. Yunsu ate a piece of fish, lowered his head and showed an insightful smile. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After Rebirth, Boss, she is beautiful and sassy. Author, beautiful. Chapter 166. Chapter 166 Group Dinner. Sister-in-law, let Xiao go to our house to play for a while. Let the child relax for a while. Cao Liun thought about it and said, that's okay. Before Yun Xiao could be happy, she continued, however, you must not cause trouble to your uncle and the others. Otherwise, I will see how I deal with you when you come back. I know, Yun Xiao agreed. Come on, let's continue eating. Yun Deguo put vegetables into the bowls of the Yunsu siblings. Thank you, uncle. Yunsu's family of 3 stayed in Xiaoshui town for 2 days. Before leaving, Yunsu visited his adoptive mother's grave. Mom, everyone is doing well recently. The restaurant business owned by Dad is also doing very well and has opened a branch. Xiaoting is also adapting well to school. As for me, I'm living a good life. I have many good friends, and everyone treats me very well at this point. She paused. There is another person, maybe I will bring him with me next time he comes to see you. On Yanjin Mountain, a bird flew by, its voice was like crying, as if echoing her. On the tombstone, the woman still looked at her with a smile and tenderness. Yunsu was about to answer. Qinglian stiffened slightly and said nonchalantly, I asked Uncle Yun about the marinade this morning. He said so. Otherwise, how would I know? The new store that had been closed for 2 days has reopened, and the business at the old store is still being taken care of by Qinglian and her daughter. Yunsu and the others naturally became guinea pigs for testing dishes. One day they would make mango ice cream, the next day they would make and milk, changing every day. Qinglian, red bean double-skinned milk. The 3 girls sat down to eat and chat casually. Good. Yun Xiao, Susu, I'll go with you. Are you also in Lanzhou University? Me too, that's great, Yun Xiao asked in surprise. She also helped in the store. Although Yun Daijin kept letting her play by herself, her mother would definitely break her legs if she really dared to go back without doing anything. Susu, send this over there. Yun Daijin brought out 2 portions of red bean double-skin milk. The soft and glutinous red beans were dotted on the milky white double-skin milk, which was really pleasing. Yun Daijin, Xiao, you can sleep in this room and treat this place as your own home. If you need anything, just tell your uncle. Yun Xiao happily followed Yunsu's family back to Lanchinj. Oh Qing, you didn't think there was anything wrong. The 2 girls carried the double-skin milk to the old Yash store. Qing Yu hurriedly came up to them and took the things. What did Uncle Yun do today? Every day is like opening a blind box. The weather has been hot recently, and the store's signature dish is braised food. Although it's delicious, eating too much can make you angry, so Yun Daijin is thinking about adding some desserts to cool down the heat and quench thirst. Okay, thank you, Uncle. I'm from the computer science department. Yun Xiao didn't expect to meet an alumnus before school started. Yunsu felt something was wrong. Aunt Qinglian was almost all managing the affairs of the old store by herself. Why would she ask her father? Yunsu narrowed his eyes and Qinglian asked doubtfully, Mom, how do you know? King Yu, yes, I am from the finance department, what about you? Sister Xiao, didn't you sign up for the computer science department just because? Yunsu winked at her, and then she found out what Yun Xiao's major was. She remembered that she had vowed to study a language major before. What did you say? Yun Xiao felt a little guilty as if her thoughts had been read. I just like computers, okay. Okay, Yunsu stopped teasing her and turned to Qingyu in a low voice, do you feel that Aunt Qing's reaction just now was a bit wrong? Qingyu was confused, is there any? Yes, Yunsu said firmly. Qingyu pursed her lips and said, I have time to ask my mother. Hey, don't, Yunsu hurriedly stopped him. How could he ask the woman first about this matter? It would be bad if it makes Aunt Qing embarrassed. I'd better ask my dad what he thinks first. Well. After dinner in the evening, Yoon Xiao mysteriously went back to her room and made a phone call. Primary school student Yunting was about to start school and entered a crazy time to catch up on homework. Dad Yunsu called to Yoon Daejin, who was about to wash up. Dad, let's chat for a while, I haven't talked to you for a long time. Okay. Yoon Daejin didn't think much and sat down on the sofa. Yunsu looked at him and said, Dad, what do you think of Aunt Cheng? Yoon Daejin was stunned. Didn't you ask this question before? He is a very nice person, hard-working, tenacious, and considerate. If Yunsu stared at her father closely, not missing any expression on his face, how about from a woman's perspective? What do you mean? Yoon Daejin stopped talking. He understood what Yunsu meant. Yoon Daejin did not answer immediately. He was silent for a long time and said, Your Aunt Ching is indeed a very good person. She takes care of Xiao alone. I feel sorry for her, so I will inevitably take more care of her, but to be honest, if you hadn't told me, I might not have thought about that. Although your mother has passed away for so many years, I have never thought about finding a stepmother for you and Xiaoting, just because I was afraid. What if Xiaoting and I are not considered? Yoon Daejin sighed, how could we not consider you and Xiaoting? Dad, what I mean is. Yunsu held her father's hand, you shouldn't live just for me and Xiaoting, you should also think about yourself. Aunt Ching is a very good person, and Xiaoting and I are both. I like it very much. If you really have that intention, we will definitely support you. Don't have any worries. I am serious. You want Xiaoting and I to be happy, and so do we. Yunsu's words were truly sincere. Yoon Daejin also understood his daughter's thoughts and remained silent for a while. Let me think about it. As soon as these words came out, Yunsu knew that her father was really thinking about it seriously. Good. Yoon Daejin's originally serious face was amused again. We've been talking here for a long time, but we still don't know what your Aunt Ching thinks. It doesn't matter. Just do it after you think about it clearly. I believe in you. Yunsu patted her father's shoulder with encouragement. Yoon Daejin couldn't laugh or cry. His daughter encouraged her father to pursue someone else. What's this? Uncle, I'm not going to the store today. I have an appointment with a friend, Yoon Xiao said to Yoon Daejin while eating breakfast, her tone excited. It's time to go play. A long time ago, Yoon Daejin said with concern, if you have enough money, Uncle will get you some, and you can go out and eat something good with your friends. Yoon Xiao quickly refused, no, Uncle, I have enough money. Okay, be safe. If you need anything, call me or Susu. Yoon Daejin looked regretful, because Yunsu had never asked him for money, and he also knew that Yunsu made more money than he did. It's a lot, but it's a pity that I can't experience the sense of accomplishment of giving pocket money to my children. Dad, I want pocket money. Yunting looked eager. Forget it, just tell me what money a child needs and what he wants to buy. Yoon Daejin didn't want to refuse. Yunting pursed his lips in embarrassment. Yunsu winked at him and mouthed, sister, give it to you. His eyes lit up and he nodded like a chicken pecking at rice. Yoon Daejin buried his head in eating and did not see the eye contact between the siblings. Uncle, I'm leaving first. Yoon Xiao rushed out the door like a gust of wind. Yoon Daejin was helpless, this child. Dad, I'm going to the Company and Research Institute today. You don't have to wait for me to eat, Yunsu said after finishing the last bite of rice. School is about to start, and her time will shrink sharply. She will have to spend the next few days there. Okay, you should rest even if you are busy at work. If you sit for a long time, stand for a while and look out the window, Yoon Daejin muttered. Yeah, I understand. Yunsu listened patiently. Yoon Xiao is wearing a white dress, with long hair hanging loose, like a gardenia blooming in early June. As long as she doesn't speak, She still looks quite ladylike. She looked in the rearview mirror of a car, put on light lipstick, pursed her lips, and felt anxious. Would Brother Hofan like this look? The phone rang, and she hurriedly took it out of her bag and picked it up. Hello? Brother Hofan, I'm near your company. Her tone was so gentle that it was almost dripping with water. If her mother heard it, she would definitely think that her daughter was being raped. Yoon Hofan said apologetically, I'm really sorry, Xiao, the company suddenly has a dinner party today, and I may not have time to eat with you alone. If you don't mind, you can come with me. Do you want to have dinner with your colleagues? Yoon Xiao was a little hesitant. Well, don't be nervous, they are all easy to get along with. Oh well. Yoon Xiao hung up the phone. 2 seconds later, she made a fist and said, yes. How could she be nervous for a person like her who has a good social skills record, but Brother Hofan is actually willing to introduce his colleagues to her? Does this mean that Brother Hofan also cares about her? Thinking of this possibility, she jumped up and down excitedly. Half an hour later, at the door of Yulan, Yoon Hofan waved to Yoon Xiao, who was still looking around. Xiao, here. Yoon Xiao heard the sound and turned around to see Yoon Hofan. She was overjoyed and subconsciously wanted to run over. Suddenly she remembered how she was dressed today and walked over with small steps. Brother Hofan, long time no see. Yoon Xiao's voice was thin and weak, her head lowered and she was a little blushing. Brother Hofan is still so handsome, woo woo woo. Yoon Hofan was confused. Xiao, why have you become so introverted after not seeing her for a while? Yoon Xiao choked and changed the subject. Brother Hofan, where are your colleagues? They are all inside, let's go, we are going in too. Yoon Xiao followed him in. Along the way, she was dazzled by the small bridges, flowing water, pavilions, and various exquisite and elegant decorations. She couldn't help but exclaimed, Brother Hofan, is your company so wealthy? We always have dinners in places like this. At first glance, it was a painfully expensive place. Yoon Hofan saw her surprised look and encouraged her, well, our company is very good in all aspects. Don't you want to learn computer science? Try to join our company after graduation. Okay. I will work hard. Yoon Xiao looked like she was in a state of shock. She would definitely squeeze her brains out to get into a company where Brother Hofan was. Yoon Hofan told her, when you meet my colleagues later, you can ask them more. If you can learn a little bit, you can walk sideways in school from now on. Really, so powerful, Yoon Xiao's eyes widened. Well, they are all boss-level figures. Yoon Xiao looked forward to it even more. She took a deep breath. She must not embarrass Brother Hofan today. End of this chapter. After Rebirth, Boss, she is beautiful and sassy. Author, beautiful. Chapter 167. Chapter 167-09 found. Yoon Hofan pushed open the door of the private room. Hofan, why are you here? Josei greeted. Hey, who is this little beauty? You brought your girlfriend here. What? Yoon Hofan brought a girl here? Others looked over instantly. The people in the technical department are all monks who have lived for 10,000 years, but there is a traitor among them. Yoon Xiao blushed with embarrassment at Josei's girlfriend's words. She glanced at everyone. Are all computer scientists so good looking these days? Brother, what are you talking about? This is Xiao, a good sister from my hometown. She is going to university in Lanchinge soon. She is also a computer major. Please help me take care of her. Not a girlfriend? Everyone's eyes lit up, and their enthusiasm immediately increased by an octave. Come on, Sister Xiao, right? Sit over here. Yoon Hofan's sister, the blush on Yoon Xiao's face faded and turned pale, and she sat down with a smile on her face. Yoon Hofan introduced to Yoon Xiao in a low voice, let me introduce to you, this is the senior brother I mentioned to you before, Zhou, and then over there in order are Sun Lan, Cheng Jia Y, Bai Ye, Lan Qi, Hang Lu. If you can't remember, just call me brother. Yun Xiao quickly said hello, hello. Bai Ye looked around, where's brother Lin? When will he come? Sister Yun and the others seem to have arrived. I'll go out to pick them up. Lan Qi stood up. Oh, his surname is also Yun, what a coincidence. Etc. Brother Hofan's boss was also coming. Yun Xiao realized what she was doing and immediately sat upright, the 12-level alarm sounding in her head. It's okay, Brother Hofan, your colleagues are all very nice. Yun Xiao looked at him strangely. Why is Brother Hofan acting weird? Hello, Sister Xiao. Yun Hofan couldn't say anything to refute, and secretly screamed in his heart, it's over. Don't be restrained, relax. Zhou Xiao, I'm talking to Sister Yun about something, please wait a little later. Zhou Xiao answered directly, he is our boss. Xiao, let's go for a walk. Yun Hofan wanted to rescue him again. No, no, these are enough to eat. Yun Xiao refused quickly. They had almost finished the menu. Can they really eat it? Over there, Yunsu and Sulingang finished talking about the latest work arrangements and rushed to Yulan. Yun Hofan, we will lead. Sulin looked at Yunsu from the rearview mirror, who was sleeping with her eyes closed and a tired look on her brows, and silently adjusted the temperature inside the car to a suitable temperature. Why does it happen to be today? He tried to calm down and whispered to Xiao, Xiao, if you feel uncomfortable, we can find another place to eat. Everyone, please order some more food. Don't save money for Sister Yun. Zhou Xiao encouraged everyone. Sister Xiao, do you have anything you like to eat? Order whatever you want. Many times, Yunsu will make people ignore her appearance and age. Only in such quiet moments, Sulin will sound. She is only a teenage girl. Yun Xiao asked in a low voice, who is Brother Lin? That's right, Sister Xiao wants to have dinner with us. What are you doing? Zhou Xiao, who has sharp ears, heard it and complained dissatisfiedly to Yun Hofan, after finally getting the beauty, you still want to take her away? No need. Sulin's voice interrupted him before anyone arrived. Wait a minute, is Sister Yun coming today? Yun Hofan finally remembered what was wrong. Didn't Sister Yun bump into Xiao when she arrived? Everyone said excitedly, yes, it's rare for Sister Yun to have a meal with us today. Who is Sister Yun? Yun Xiao was curious. Yun Xiao stretched her neck to see the boss's true appearance. A tall, straight man with a handsome face walked in. So handsome. What a magical company this is. All the guys are handsome. No, isn't the boss a woman? Before Yun Xiao could figure it out, she saw another person appear behind the handsome guy. Susu, why are you here? Yun Xiao's eyes widened. Could it be that her mother asked her to catch her? Yunsu stopped as he entered the door and was surprised when he saw Yun Xiao. Everyone present was stunned when they heard Yun Xiao's name. Does this girl know Sister Yun? Zhou Xiao looked at Yun Xiao and said, do you know our Sister Yun? They called her so intimately. Sister Yun, Yun Xiao's mind exploded instantly and went blank. She pointed at Yunsu with a trembling finger, her. Yun Hofan collapsed and covered his face. He knew it would be like this. Brother Hofan, what's going on? Yun Xiao looked like Yun Hofan at a loss. Only he could give her the answer. How could Susu be the Sister Yun they called, the boss of their company? You didn't tell her. Yunsu saw Yun Hofan covering his face and not daring to see her, and knew that Yun Xiao still didn't know. As early as when Yun Xiao said that she wanted to go and play with Yun Hofan, Yunsu knew that sooner or later Yun Xiao would know about it. Wait a minute, Master, I just realized that all three of you are named Yun. Bai felt like he had discovered a new continent. That's not the case, they all came from the same place. Yun Hofan wiped his face and frantically organized his words. Well, Xiao, You've seen it too, I won't hide it from you, Susu. No, Sister Yoon is the boss of our company. He immediately assured Yoon-soo, Sister Yoon, I really didn't mean it. I didn't know you were coming today. Everyone was confused. What are you talking about? It's okay, you will know sooner or later. Yoon-soo waved her hand in front of Yoon Xiao. Sister Xiao, you have come to your senses. Yoon Xiao's eyes were out of focus, and her mind was as messy as a ball of yarn with no thread to find. Susu, did you really not lie to me? Isn't Susu an ordinary high school student? Although he had good grades, acted in plays, and appeared on TV shows, why did he suddenly become the boss of a big company? He is still the boss of Brother Hofan. This is too fantasy. Sit down first and I'll tell you slowly. Yoon-soo comforted her. Jose Ayu poked Yoon Hofan, who was still blaming himself. What did you call Sister Yoon just now? Susu, you are really brave. Others also pricked up their ears to listen. Yoon Hofan broke the pot and said, to tell you the truth, I have been calling her Susu for the past 10 years or so. He did not expect that in a short period of time, the relationship between the two would be turned upside down and become that of a superior and a subordinate. You have known each other for a long time. Knowing each other, growing up in the same place. What about this Sister Xiao? She and Sister Yoon are cousins. Good guy. So exciting. Everyone was amazed. Jose Ayu gave Yoon Hofan a hand directly. Then you knew Sister Yoon a long time ago, and you still hid her, and you wanted me to introduce her to you in the first place. Yoon Hofan grimaced in pain and smiled bitterly, I only found out later. He was afraid of having a bad influence, and he never showed that he was an old acquaintance with Yoon-soo in the company. That's pretty much it? So, you started your own company, and Uncle Yoon doesn't know what you do specifically. Brother Hofan came here to apply for a job by accident. Yoon Xiao tried hard to digest this huge amount of information. Well, that's probably it. Solin saw that he had finished talking and called the waiter, let's serve the food. Okay. One after another delicious dishes were brought to the table. They were delicious in color and aroma. Yoon Xiao was worthy of being a cook. She picked up the chopsticks and put down Yoon-soo's affairs for the time being. Now that the matter was over, let's eat first. Everyone has worked hard these days, and I want to pay tribute to you all. Solin stood up and said. It's not hard work, if you do the work you like, your eyes will shine even if you are tired. Solin, one more thing is that our new colleague Hang Lu has been joining us for a while. This dinner can be regarded as a welcome banquet for him. Hong Yi came to work in Yunchinj, so he still had to show his due respect. Hong Yi, who was caught off guard, said, why did he suddenly be mentioned? Yun-soo couldn't help but want to laugh. Who would have thought that Hong Yi, who is so famous on the internet, could actually be a social terror? Hong Ai stood up, raised his cup, and stammered, well, I'm glad to be able to work with you all, and work together. Everyone also toasted with dignity. Although Hong Ai has not been here for a long time, everyone is already impressed by his superb computer skills. They don't know where did Sister Yoon find such a great person? Lan Chi is different from Baya, who is so rough. During this period of time together, he has increasingly felt a sense of familiarity in Hang Lu, but he has never seen him before. What is going on? Or should I ask Sister Yoon? Yoon-soo raised her head and met his eyes. She raised her eyebrows in confusion. Lan Chi shook his head and withdrew his eyes, forget it. Even if there was something, Sister Yoon must have had her reasons for not saying it. Hey, sir, you're in the wrong private room, please stay. The waiter's slightly panicked voice came from outside. The next second, the door was pushed open, and everyone frowned and looked over. Who was it? 02, a man with a mean appearance came in, about 40 years old. What is 02? Hong Ai looked up when he heard a familiar voice and sighed, why did you find him? Hang Lu, I'm looking for you. It's okay. You can go down first, Sulin said to the waiter. Why do you think I'm here? Hearing what Hong Yi asked him, the man almost lost his temper. Do you know how many things have been piled up for me as soon as you left? Are you a human being? After Hong Yi came to Lanchinj, he stayed inexplicably. He didn't reply to text messages or answer calls. With Hong Yi's skills, it would be difficult for him to contact him as long as he didn't want to be found. He had no choice but to come to Lanchinj to find him in person. He finally caught him today. Someone asked, Brother Hang, is this your former colleague? This was judged from his words. Hong Yi immediately denied it. No, at best, they were considered partners. Of course I'm not his colleague, I'm his grandson, otherwise I'll have to clean up his mess. The man was already so angry that he was talking nonsense. Wait a minute, what did you just call him? What's Hang Lu? Hang Lu, don't you know his name? The speaker was confused. Name? 02. We've known each other for more than 10 years and I didn't even know your name was this. The man felt a sharp pain in his head and was very angry. Those present were thinking silently, what kind of plastic friend is this after knowing him for 10 years and still not knowing his name? Hong Yi, Su, I'm going to go out first, and you guys eat first. Yun Su looked at the man and realized that it was Hong Yi's former partner who came to see him. He nodded slightly, and everyone nodded. When Hong Yi called out Su, the man's eyes suddenly widened. Before he could speak, Hong Yi covered his mouth in time. Get out first. End of this chapter. After Rebirth, Boss, she is beautiful and sassy. Author, Beautiful. Chapter 168. Chapter 168. There is no trace of the person. Hong Yi dragged the person to a rockery outside the corridor. Tell me first, is there Su at the table just now? Without caring about anything else, the man was eager to know the exact answer. Isn't it obvious? Which one is it? There is such a large table of people. The men are trying to recall the faces they just saw, looking for people who seem to be Su, and so on. Why did I seem to see Sulin from Junya Group just now? Why is he here? The man realized something was wrong and said excitedly, Sulin, Sulin, Su. Is it him? If it were him, it would be understandable that he would not want to reveal his identity. Under his expectant gaze, Hong Yi shook his head. No, 09, don't guess anymore. Okay, I won't guess. 09 suppressed his anger and said, then you go back with me. No return. No reply. 09's anger was ignited again. Are you possessed? Do you know how many tasks have been piled up? So what if there is Su here? Join us. He is very clear about 09's abilities, and joining Yunchinj will definitely be a big help. You come in with me first and have a meal before we talk. 09 silence. 02 is indeed not the kind of person who is irresponsible easily. There must be some reason why he must stay. So what is it about this place that attracts him? Hey, wait a minute. 09 grabbed him and said, tell me what reasons are worthy of me joining, if you can convince me. Everyone has been waiting for a long time. This is my friend, his name is. Hong Yi turned his head, what is your name? 09 looked at him in disbelief, I think you are really crazy. 09 gritted his teeth, and sure enough, he didn't know what his name was. 09, he shouldn't believe that he can say anything good. Oh, this is my friend, Wu Ying. I will compensate. 09 stood there and thought for a moment, then followed Hong Yi. No, I'm telling you away, the only way. Wu Ying pushed it away, do you pay the liquidated damages? How can someone leave just after a disagreement? At least I can give you a few words of advice. Why do you think I'm left here? Is it just Su? What, you changed your mind and you want to tell me? Hong Ai looked at him and said seductively, "Don't you want to know who Su is?" "I'm back, brother Hang, sit down quickly, the food is cold," Bai Ye greeted quickly. "Push those away." Hong Yi's voice was calm. No task was as important as Yunchin's right now. Oh, he wanted to see what 02 could say. 2, 3, 4, 5. 09 said seriously, "Tell me, are you joining a pyramid scheme, pulling one by one? What is this if not a pyramid scheme?" Hong Ai turned around and wanted to leave. "Others, do you feel like we can't hear what you are saying?" The two of them sat down calmly. Wu Ying observed the people present without leaving a trace. He felt that Sulin, the most likely one, had been eliminated, and the remaining ones. The two girls are eliminated first, and, aren't these two? Wu Ying looked at Bai Ye and Lan Qi. The battle in Lishan had been broken down in detail. Naturally, he knew that Bai Ye and Lan Qi were also involved at the time. "Are you also a computer person?" Zhou Zaiyu, who was sitting next to Wu Ying, asked curiously. "Right." Zhou Zaiyu's eyes lit up. He must be a friend of a great master. "Where are you employed now?" He changed his honorific in an instant. I just do it casually," Wu Ying reluctantly replied. Zhou Zaiyu's eyes brightened. "Are you interested in joining our company?" "Don't worry, our salary and benefits are very good in all aspects. In addition, we will receive dividends if we produce results, and our development prospects are also very good." Wu Ying, 02 What's going on with these colleagues? Each one is weirder than the last. Is this company so short of people? Yunsu looked at Sulin and said, "If conditions permit, transfer Zhou Zaiyu to the human resources side." Sulin, indeed. He is more active than the human resources department in recruiting people. Ha 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 ha, Bai Ye burst out laughing when he heard the conversation between the two. Over there, Zhou Zaiyu was still lobbying him hard. "Really, look at our department, although there are differences in age and education, we never care about seniority. Look at Brother Hang, although he has only joined us Yunchinj for a short time, everyone we all admire him, and as long as he has the ability, we will never treat him badly." To prove what he said, he turned to his friend and said to Sulin, "Brother Lin, please say a few words." "Am I right?" Sulin, "Yes, you have finished speaking, what else should I say?" Bai Ye was laughing so hard that he couldn't sit still. "Don't delay, send the child to the other side." Sulin came close to Yunsu and said in a voice that only two people could hear, "This friend in red is not a simple person." Yunsu took a sip of the drink and said calmly, Wu Ying, don't you think this name is a bit familiar to you?" "Wu Ying," Sulin frowned and thought deeply. Wu Ying, his voice became louder, in disbelief, and it was rare that he felt a little bit groggy. Yunsu nodded invisibly. "Who is Wu Ying?" "He is one of the top 10 masters in the country, and is also a legend in the hacker world. He has been famous for a long time. As early as when computers in China were just popularized, he had already made a name for himself. Even Hong Ai was ranked behind him. Who here has not heard of the name Wu Ying? I just didn't know that Wu Ying and Hong Ai had such a good relationship. Zhou Zaiyu really has a sharp eye, and he is a big boss when he is fooled." "Sulin, do you want to find a way to keep him?" Yunsu shook her head. "No, this kind of person's ideas cannot be easily influenced," she chuckled. "Besides, we don't have to worry, if Hong Ai didn't have this intention, he wouldn't have brought him in." Sulin was stunned and at the same time frightened by Yunsu's control over people's hearts. Okay, I'll think about it," Wu Ying tiredly interrupted Zhou Zaiyu's long speech, and he would faint if he continued. "That's good, we must seriously consider it." Zhou Zaiyu stopped talking with satisfaction. It was a lively meal. A group of people walked out, and Yunsu went to pay the bill. She had agreed to pay, and she would not pay the public account. "Ms. Yun, You don't need to pay the bill, the waiter said with a smile on his face. The boss has told me that you don't need to pay anything to dine at any of Yulan's stores. Boss. Yunsu then remembered that Yulan seemed to be someone's property, so there was no need to be polite to him. Okay, thank you, she nodded her head. Holy shit, Sister Yun, you are so awesome. Do you know Yu Ian's boss? Josei was shocked, and then asked curiously, Sister Yun, who is Yu Ian's boss, so mysterious? As the most well-known and high-end private restaurant in Lanchinge, the boss behind Yulan has always been unknown. Sulin smiled and said nothing. He knew the reason. Yunsu said casually, I'm just a flower grower. Josei scratched his head and wondered, are all flower growers so rich now? Sulin. When did Fifth Master get involved in the flower industry? Why didn't he know? Okay, let's go back to work. Yun Xiao looked at Yun Hofan and said, Brother Hofan, I'll leave first. She needed to digest what she knew today. Okay, let's make an appointment when we have time. Susu, I'm going to my uncle's shop. Yunsu nodded. Her name is also Su. Wu Ying looked at Yunsu and carefully looked at the girl who had been excluded from the beginning. Only then did she realize that from the meal to the present, she was actually the leader of this group of people. Could it be? Impossible, impossible. This was so ridiculous. Wu Ying hurriedly denied the terrible idea in his mind. Hong Ai looked at Yunsu and said, I'll go back to the company later. It seemed like he wouldn't leave without giving 09 a result today. Yunsu glanced at Wu Ying meaningfully and nodded. The crowd dispersed, leaving only Hong Ai and Wu Ying. Hey, no, when are you going back to the company to tell her why? Wu Ying reacted. Hong Ai, if I don't tell the boss, who will I tell? 09, is he stupid? It's so obvious and he hasn't reacted yet. What boss? Wu Ying didn't understand. Is that yellow-haired girl the boss of your department? How is that possible? Yellow-haired girl, Hong Ai looked at him strangely, is this how you describe Su? What is that, if not a yellow-haired girl? Wu Ying replied casually. The next second, he reacted and turned his head with a stiff neck. What did you just say? Even if you don't tell me who Su is, there is no need to tell me such a joke. Hong Ai. It's hopeless. You go back. Looking at Hong Yi's speechless expression, Wu Ying's dry smile froze on his face, and his eyes were so wide that they had never been so wide in his life. Don't tell me you're not joking. Am I very free? Hong Yi was impatient. She, is she really Su? Wu Ying almost gasped. How is this possible? How can Su be a little girl? Wu Ying squatted on the roadside collapsed, so the most powerful boss in their hacker world is a little girl. I ask you again, do you want to stay? Hong Yi's eyes were more serious than ever before. We have been friends for 10 years, I will not cheat you. Wu Ying fell silent and spoke for a long time, her voice a little hoarse. I still don't understand, even if she is Su, you won't be able to do this. He and Hong Yi have known each other for more than 10 years. Although they don't even know each other's real names, they still know him well. With Hong Yi's character, he will never abandon everything and leave. Because I am doing something that will change this era and change all of us. Wu Ying was stunned. He really wanted to ask him, wasn't he really brainwashed? But after seeing the blazing wildfire in Hong Yi's eyes, he realized that he was not talking nonsense. He knew clearly that Hong Yi had no other ambitions and had spent his whole life at a higher level of technology in the online world. So what did he mean by this sentence? What is this thing about? Okay, I'll go with you. Wu Ying finally chose to believe him. No matter what, I'll just leave later. No, you won't. Hong Yi showed a mysterious smile. Wu Ying doesn't know if it's okay. Thousands of miles away in the capital, in an unknown base. Why has there been no news about 09 for so long? Let's get in touch again. Yes. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After Rebirth, Boss, she is beautiful and sassy. Author, beautiful. Chapter 169. Chapter 169 Riemann Hypothesis. Come on, let me introduce you to a new colleague. Yunsu clapped her hands, her face almost breaking out in laughter. Hong Ai is really her lucky star. Sure enough, he pulled Wu Ying over. Hello everyone, I am Wu Ying. Wu Ying stood beside Yunsu and spoke concisely. Looking at the group of people, he felt a little regretful about agreeing to Hong Yi. The eyes of the people in the technical department lit up, especially Jose Ayu, who was extremely excited. Brother Angkor, you're still here? Trust me, you're right to come here. Hong Yi nodded and applauded expressionlessly. Angkor, tell us, what did you mainly do in the past? Bai also came over and asked curiously. Before. Wu Ying recalled, I used to help others crack Trojan viruses, attack and defend, and so on. Bai's eyes were as bright as incandescent lamps, and he became even more excited. Tell us something interesting. Interesting? Let me think about the fight against those people from country M a few years ago. That guy, at that time. When it comes to this, Wu Ying's chatterbox opened up and he was spitting. We all know what you are saying, isn't it the one led by the great gods Hong Ai and Wu Ying? No, Jose Ayu suddenly remembered something even more horrifying. If you are Wu Ying? Then who is he? His fingers turned to Hong Yi, who was standing aside. Everyone's expressions are a bit dreamy. They are actually working with Hong Ai during this time. Wu Ying has joined them now? If a big boss of this level can do things, I can only say that Sister Yun is awesome. Okay, Lan Chi, tell Wu Ying about our current work. I'll leave first. She still wanted to go to the research institute. That's right. Wu Ying was more puzzled than them. Didn't they ask him to tell it? No. Yunsu nodded. I'm not kidding. Since Hong Ai admitted it himself, there was no need to be secretive. No wonder, he always felt that Hang Lu gave him a sense of familiarity. It turned out that he was Hong Yi, who had met once in Lishan. Hong Yi said in a calm voice, I am Hong Yi. Hong Ai crossed his hands, waiting to see Wu Ying's next expression. Are you Wu Ying? Jose Ayu asked with a trembling voice. Okay. Wu Ying curled his lips inwardly. Is it so serious? Lan Chi turned around suddenly. Are you in red? Calm down. Hong Yi took out his ears that were numb from the shock. Then who knows that the Wu Ying you are talking about is the Wu Ying? Everyone's hearts were racing and they didn't know how to react. Bai was dumbfounded. Master, are they telling the truth? Are they kidding? With a plop, Jose Ayu fell to the ground. Mom, he actually tricked such a great person into joining the company. Wait a minute, everyone's expressions were frozen, as if something was wrong. Wu Ying? This. Okay. Lan Chi calmed down and looked at Wu Ying. Let me tell you briefly first. I will compile the detailed information and give it to you. These must not be shared with others. Wu Ying, didn't I introduce myself a long time ago? 5 minutes later, a harsh scream came from the quiet technical department. What? Holographic. Everyone listened with interest, but gradually felt that something was wrong. Wasn't he talking about the time when a large number of hackers in China fought an offensive and defensive war with country M? Anyone who plays with computers knows this. Calm down, I am so calm. Wu Ying is about to throw the table. Who the can be calm? No wonder, the man in red doesn't want to leave. So that's it? Wu Ying was breathing heavily, his eyes were red with excitement, and his hands were shaking so much that he could no longer hold the mouse steadily. Jose Ayu, brother, You see, I have already said that our development prospects are very good. Wu Ying, if you had said the important point earlier, I would have packed up my clothes and come here without stopping. Hong Yi, are you still leaving? Wu Ying, whoever leaves is the grandson. I will live here, no one can disturb me. Over there, the base of the capital. Still haven't contacted 02 and 09. Not yet. Keep looking. The speaker's expression was solemn. What happened? First 02, then 09, each one disappeared without a trace. The source of it all. Go and check Su again, even if you turn over China, you will find out who she is. Yes. Yunsu has a lot of things to do before school starts, and she is as busy as a will every day. Yun Daejin looked distressed for his daughter. Susu, if you are really too tired, we won't do it. Anyway, we have enough money at home now. You are still young. What will you do if your body is exhausted? Dad, I'm fine, don't worry. Yun Xiao is in a mixed mood. Uncle, you put it lightly. If you want to do something, do it. If you don't want to, don't do it. It's such a big company. Brother Hofan would be unemployed if Susu didn't work. Sure enough, not knowing is also a kind of happiness. Yun Xiao deeply felt that she had endured too much, and it was too difficult for her to keep such a big mouth secret. By the way, Sister Xiao, aren't you going to start school soon? Yunsu looked at her. I picked out a small gift for you, just think of it as a starting gift. It's in your room, go and take a look. Like or not. Where can I get you to give me a gift? After saying this, Yun Xiao went back to her room to see it honestly. Yun Xiao looked at the latest expensive laptop placed on her bedside and remained silent. This was the little gift Susu was talking about. Sure enough, she still didn't understand rich people. Susu, this is too valuable, I can't have it. Her mother would have to kill her if she took her in. Yunsu, it's okay. It didn't cost much. If you don't want it, we won't be able to use it. You can't return it once it's opened. In the end, Yun Xiao accepted the gift with tears. If she was beaten, she would be beaten. She silently swore in her heart that she would keep Susu's secret. There is no way, she gave too much. The sun is still scorching the earth every day, the noisy cicadas continue to chirp, and the soda-smelling summer has not passed yet, and the new semester is here. Yunsu has officially become a senior high school student. She is separated from her previous friends and stands in an unfamiliar classroom introducing herself. Hello everyone, my name is Yunsu. Yunsu's expression was indifferent and he still spoke concisely. No introduction is needed, we all know you. Yes, who doesn't know Yun Shen? Grade 3 Class 3, the atmosphere in the class was lively and the students were excited. They didn't expect Yun Shen to be assigned to their class. Okay, classmate Yun, please find a seat and sit down. He Kong, the head teacher of Class 3, Grade 3, was beaming with pride. Yunsu was the favorite of all the teachers in the school, but after all his efforts, he broke out of the siege to grab it. From my own class. Yunsu found a seat by the window and sat down, taking out his book. The first class of the new semester was mathematics. Looking at the math teacher who walked in, Yunsu was silent. Why is it still Lao Li? The person who came in was not Yunsu's former math teacher, Lao Li. Who else could it be? Lao Li seemed to feel Yunsu's gaze and raised his eyebrows at her. Hello, classmates, because your original math teacher, Mr. Zhang, is pregnant and can no longer teach you, so this year's math class will be taught by me. My surname is Li. He is another person who does not need to introduce himself. The students applauded stiffly. Who has not heard of the reputation of the devil Mr. Li in number 1 middle school? What evil had they committed? Okay, let's start class now, everyone, turn the books to. After class, Lao Li waved to Yunsu. Yunsu sighed and followed him. I have a classmate who is a professor of mathematics at Lanzhou University. Yunsu couldn't help but asked, do you have a classmate like this? Lao Li glared at her angrily and continued, he needs to solve a problem recently and needs an assistant. I recommended you to him. You go and try. I've just started school, so you're going to let me not do my job properly. Why are you not doing your job? I don't know you yet. It doesn't matter whether you take this class or not. You might as well do something practical and try to publish a paper or something. Paper. Yunsu thought for a while and found that he really didn't seem to have thought about this. Okay, I'll try it. I can't guarantee whether it will work or not. Go Lao Li blew a sip of tea foam, and he was not worried about whether Yunsu would succeed. According to the address given by Lao Li, Yunsu came to Lancheng University. Lancheng University is an old university in Lancheng. Although it is not as good as Huaqing University and Beijing University, it still has a profound foundation. Yunsu knocks, ringing on an office door. Please come in. A middle-aged man's steady voice came from the door. Yunsu opened the door and went in. Who are you looking for? Su Heng, a professor at the Department of Mathematics at Lancheng University, looked at the girl who entered the door. Is this year's freshman? Haven't you started reporting in yet? Hello, I am the assistant introduced by teacher Li Qifang. Old Li, Su Heng recalled it, and it seemed that this was the case. At that time, he casually mentioned in the group of classmates that he was in need of an assistant recently. Lao Li said that he would introduce someone to him. He thought he was joking, but who knew that the introducer actually came? Sit down first. Su Heng subconsciously thought that Yunsu was a mathematics major, but he just had a tender face. I am currently working on a mathematics project and I really need an assistant. However, even though you were introduced by Lao Li, you still need to be evaluated so that we don't waste our time. Can you accept it? Yunsu nodded. I understand everything, Professor Su. Seeing the girl's well-behaved appearance, Su Heng had a good impression of her. Well, I have a plan here. As long as you can prove it, I will accept you as an assistant. Su Heng took out a folded page of paper and handed it to Yunsu. Yunsu took it and unfolded it, frowning. This. Su Heng thought she was feeling difficulty, so he added, it can be proved within 3 days. Don't worry, you go back and think about it first. Come to me at any time when you have the result. Okay, Professor Su. Yunsu nodded and walked out of his office. On the tree-lined avenue, the sun was dazzling and the students were in groups. Yunsu took out the piece of paper from his pocket and read it again. Riemann hypothesis, is the threshold for becoming an assistant so high now? End of this chapter. After Rebirth, boss, she is beautiful and sassy. Author, beautiful. Chapter 170. Chapter 170 proved. How is it? Lao Su, have you seen the student I told you about? After learning that Yunsu went to see Su Heng, Lao Li couldn't wait to call Su Heng. Su Heng thought for a moment and said, you seem to have a good temperament, but I don't know what your abilities are. Lao Li was silent. Did he say the opposite? Isn't that kid Yunsu supposed to be very capable but have a troublesome temper? He ignored this weirdness and continued to say good things to Yunsu. There is no doubt about my student's ability, just watch it. I gave her a formula and asked her to prove it within 3 days. You are not allowed to help. How does that little monster of hers need my help? Lao Li didn't care. Oh, Su Heng didn't expect Lao Li to speak so highly of that girl. You must know that at school, Lao Li was the most talented student praised by the department head. If he had not insisted on teaching in a high school, his current achievements might be much higher than his. Wait, high school? You just said that girl is your student. Yoon Daejin knew that the teacher Li she was talking about was the math teacher who took good care of her, so he said nothing and just asked her to rest early. Yoon Daejin sighed, went out and closed the door. This Lao Li still has such a weird temper after all these years. Soo-hung looked at the phone that was hung up and couldn't laugh or cry. He wasn't angry yet when he stuffed someone into his head. Why was he angry? Yoon-soo nodded wildly at the draft book that was almost full, obviously not listening. That's not right. According to her usual temperament, she should have solved the problem, of course. Why did she bring it back this time? Lao Li felt a little strange. You can't really be stumped, right? So in the next few days, Yoon-soo became busier visibly. She had to stay up late at night after working outside. Yoon Daejin knocked on the door and brought in a bowl of white fungus soup. Lao Li was suddenly a little worried, but then he thought, if he could really irritate her, he could temper her temper. Thinking of this, Lao Li stopped and asked Yoon-soo what she was thinking. I'll see if you still tell me this when she gets it out. Lao Li snorted coldly and put down the phone. Teacher Lee introduced me to a professor as an assistant, and I had to pass the professor's assessment. Yoon-soo rubbed her sore wrist from writing with a tired look on her brows. Yes, didn't I say that? Lao Li answered matter-of-factly. Aren't you a high school teacher? Is she a high school student? Soo-hung was about to throw down the phone. Was Lao Li crazy? He introduced a high school student to him. Because he felt that this matter was unreliable, Soo-hung immediately forgot about Yoon-soo. Yoon-soo looked at the Riemann hypothesis before him, also known as the Riemann hypothesis, one of the top 10 conjectures in mathematics and an unsolved problem in the history of mathematics. So, she had to start everything from scratch and find the ideas and methods of proof by herself. No matter how abnormal you are, you can't come here with me. This subject of mine is very important. I know you are proud of your students, but you can't do anything wrong. Soo-hung felt very tired. Why are you still busy? Didn't school just start? Yoon Daejin asked strangely. It was rare to see Soo-soo so busy because of study. That's it, that's it. Yoon-soo sighed and finished what he promised on his knees. What's wrong with the high school student? Besides, she's not a normal high school student at all. In the distant interstellar era, the Riemann hypothesis has long been proven, but Yoon-soo has never proven it himself. After all, it has been integrated into daily mathematics learning like other mathematical formulas, and no one will prove it. Same as trigonometric functions. She had a slight headache. Professor Soo really gave her a difficult problem. If she really wanted to prove it, she could prove it. It was just a matter of time, but the key was that what she lacked the most was time. Old Lee looked at Yoon-soo writing furiously in the back row without raising his head, and felt puzzled. He walked up to her and glanced at her casually, but couldn't see clearly. Still counting. Yoon-soo pressed his eyebrows and said, well, it's a bit difficult. Lao Li's eyes widened. It was really rare that the words "a little difficult" came out of her mouth. It seemed that this time it was really not that easy. Thinking of this, his face lit up with joy, and then he immediately controlled his expression and encouraged, keep up the good work. Yoon-soo glanced at him and realized that he was suppressing a smile, so he ignored it and continued to work hard. Okay, let's continue looking at the following question. Lao Li continued to talk about the topic, with a hint of excitement in his voice. Yoon-soo is also one of the top 10 academics in the third year of high school. He secretly glanced at Yoon-soo's notebook. He couldn't understand it at all. Since when did English have such a big question? The 3 days prescribed by Professor Soo-hung passed quickly. Yoon-soo looked at her progress and saw that she was already more than halfway there. She had no choice but to call Soo-hung, hoping to give her 2 more days. It doesn't matter, you can continue to explain it, and I can show it to you then. But my assistant has already implemented it, and I want to say sorry to you. Soo-hung had expected this result. He didn't say anything, but was willing to answer Yoon-soo's questions. After all, he was Lao Li's student, so he still had to give him some face. It's my problem, You don't have to be sorry, it was his own problem that he failed to fulfill his promise for 3 days. Yoon-soo thanked Soo-hung and hung up the phone. The calculations were not done within 3 days, and it was still too much for me to do. The amount of calculations was so great that even Yoon-soo felt a headache that he had not seen for a long time. But now that she had reached this point, she would not give up. After taking a deep breath, she continued to pick up the pen. Over there, when Soo-hung received a call saying that Yoon-soo had not passed, Lao Lee couldn't believe it. Before, it was one thing to gloat over misfortune, but he never thought that Yoon-soo would not be able to do it. So what on earth is going on? He called Yoon-soo to the office to ask the reason. It's coming, it's going to be the day after tomorrow at most. Looking at Yoon-soo's dark eyes, Lao Lee's words were stuck in his throat and he couldn't say it out. Forget it, go down, don't be busy, just be good. Rest, look at the dark circles under your eyes falling to the ground. Yoon-soo was still calculating the formula in his mind, and he responded as if he was in a daze. After staying up for 2 more days, Yoon-soo finally wrote the last sentence in his notebook, the proof is established. She organized all the drafts and proof processes, and spent some time reading them word by word. After making sure that there were no errors or omissions, she finally breathed a sigh of relief. The proof process before us consists of 2 major books. On the second day, Yoon-soo went to Landa University with the compiled manuscript. The door of Soo-hung's office was open. He was busy when he heard a knock on the door. He looked up and was stunned. "Classmate Yoon, what are you doing?" "Professor Soo, I figured out the problem you gave me before. Although I can't be your assistant, I still want to show it to you." "Oh, yes." Soo-hung then remembered what he had promised. He looked at his watch and saw that he could still spare some time. "Give it to me. In fact, it's the same thing if you show it to Teacher Li. I think he was the most talented student praised by the teacher back then." Soo-hung had a look of nostalgia on his face. Yoon-soo took out 2 notebooks from his bag and handed them to him. Soo-hung was stunned. "Why are there so many?" "That question can be solved in a few pages at most." Full of doubts, Soo-hung took it and turned to the first page, subconsciously reading out, about the Riemann zeta function. Soo-hung stopped suddenly. What is this? What did he see? Why does it start with the Riemann hypothesis? Yoon-soo frowned. "Isn't it the question you gave me?" She took out the piece of paper Soo-hung gave her from her bag, and it clearly contained the contents of the Riemann hypothesis. Soo-hung's eyes widened. "What I gave you is obviously, no." Soo-hung opened the drawer and found a piece of paper lying there quietly. The topic on it was the topic he had prepared before. Let me think about it." Soo-hung felt that his mind was a little confused, which meant that he gave the paper with the Riemann hypothesis written on it to Yoon-soo by mistake. No wonder she couldn't calculate it. Not to mention 3 days, even 3 or 30 years couldn't be calculated. Soo-hung felt guilty in his heart. This was his problem. "I'm sorry, it was my negligence." "This is the topic for you." Soo-hung was full of apologies. Yoon-soo raised her eyebrows and asked, "Is the threshold for becoming an assistant so high now? If you still want to do it, you can take this back and solve it again." Soo-hung decided to give her another chance. "But, don't you take a look at this." Yoon-soo pointed to the 2 manuscripts on the table. After all, he had calculated it by himself after spending so many days. "What?" Soo-hung then recalled what Yoon-soo said when she came in. She said she had figured it out. Soo-hung smiled and said, "Classmate Yoon, stop joking." The Riemann hypothesis was born in 1859. For more than 160 years, countless mathematicians have wanted to prove it, and some have even devoted their lives to it. However, until now, no one has really been able to prove it. "It is a good thing to have a spirit of exploration," Soo-hung encouraged her, saying that it is rare for a high school student to have the spirit of exploring world-class problems. Yoon-soo was non-committal. "Maybe you can take another look." Seeing that Yunsu insisted on doing this, Soo-hong couldn't bear to extinguish her enthusiasm, so let's take a look. He looked carefully and saw that the girl's handwriting was clear and there was no ambiguity. Soo-hong's face became more and more serious as he read along. He directly touched the pen and paper next to him and started to calculate. Yunsu was not in a hurry. He sat aside and turned off the sound and played mobile games. As time passed, Soo-hong was completely immersed in it, until a phone ringing woke him up. "Professor, the meeting time is coming soon. Over there." It was a call from his newly appointed assistant. The research team had a meeting, but Soo-hong had not gone. "Tell everyone that the meeting has been postponed." "Okay, Professor Soo." The assistant hung up the phone confused. Soo-hong has no intention of going to the meeting now, and no one knows the turmoil in his heart. Although he has only read a third of the 2 manuscripts, the scary thing is that until now, he has not found any logical loopholes or problems, and he has actually followed her ideas step by step. Soo-hong had a hunch that he wouldn't find any problems if he continued reading. He was shocked by his terrible thoughts. He looked at Yunsu, who was calmly playing the game with complicated eyes, and said, "Did you really calculate this?" "Yes, time is just a bit tight." "Tight?" Soo-hong was in a daze. Could she be talking about the 3 days she mentioned before? "You mean you started counting from that day?" Soo-hong's voice was so hoarse that he couldn't listen at all. Yes, why did she think about this when she had nothing to do before? Soo-hong's heart was shaken violently, and he could barely control his expression. It only took a high school girl 5 days to tell him that she had proved the Riemann hypothesis, but he still didn't think she was talking nonsense. Is this because he is crazy, or is the world crazy? End of this chapter.